On this day in history, December 14th, 1782, the Montgolfier brothers first test fly an unmanned hot air balloon in France. It floats nearly 2.5 kilometers or 1.6 miles. Included in the following is an excerpt from the 1944 edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica going over the history of the invention of the balloon. The first practical balloon was invented by Joseph Michel Montgolfier, born 1740, died 1810, and Jacques-Étienne Montgolfier, born 1745, died 1799, of Annonay, a town about 40 miles from Lyon. The brothers had observed the suspension of clouds in the atmosphere, and it occurred to them that if they could enclose any vapor of the nature of a cloud in a large and very light bag, it might rise and carry the bag with it into the air. Towards the end of 1782, they inflated bags with smoke from a fire placed underneath, and found that either the smoke or some vapor emitted from the fire did ascend and carry the bag with it. Being thus assured of the correctness of their views, they determined to have a public ascent of a balloon on a large scale. They accordingly invited the States of Vivarais, then assembled at Annonay, to witness their aerostatic experiment. And on June 5th, 1783, in the presence of a considerable concourse of spectators, a linen globe of 105 feet in circumference was inflated over a fire fed with small bundles of chopped straw. When released, it rapidly rose to a great height and descended, at the expiration of 10 minutes at the distance of about 1.5 miles. This was the discovery of the balloon. The brothers Montgolfier imagined that the bag rose because of the levity of the smoke or other vapor given forth from the burning straw. And it was not till some time later that it was recognized that the ascending power was due merely to the lightness of the heated air compared to an equal volume of air at a lower temperature. In this balloon no source of heat was taken, so that the air inside rapidly cooled and the balloon soon descended. The news of the experiment at Annonay attracted so much attention at Paris that Barthélemy Forgeot de Saint-Fond, born 1741, died 1819, afterwards professor of geology at the Musée d'Histoire Naturelle, set on foot a subscription for paying the expense of repeating the experiment. The balloon was constructed by two brothers of the name of Robert, under the superintendence of the physicist J.A.C. Charles. The first suggestion was to copy the process of Montgolfier, but Charles proposed the application of hydrogen gas, which was adapted. The filling of the balloon, which was made of thin silk varnished with a solution of elastic gum, and was about 13 feet in diameter, was begun on October 23, 1783, in the Place des Victoires. Bulletins were issued daily of the progress of the inflation, and the crowd was so great that on the 26th the balloon was moved secretly by night to the Champ de Mars, a distance of 2 miles. On the next day, an immense concourse of people covered the Champ de Mars, and every spot from which a view could be obtained was crowded. About 5 o'clock, a cannon was discharged as the signal for the ascent, and the balloon, when liberated, rose to the height of about 3,000 feet with great rapidity. A shower of rain, which began to fall directly after it, had left the earth in no way checked its progress, and the excitement was so great that thousands of well-dressed spectators, many of them ladies, stood exposed, watching it intently the whole time it was in sight, and were drenched to the skin. The balloon, after remaining in the air for about 3/4 of an hour, fell in a field near Gonesse, about 15 miles off, and terrified the peasantry so much that it was torn into shreds by them. On September 19, 1783, Joseph Montgolfier repeated the Annonay experiment at Versailles, in the presence of the king, the queen, the court, and an immense number of spectators. The inflation was begun at 1 o'clock and completed in 11 minutes. When the balloon rose to the height of about 1,500 feet and descended after 8 minutes at a distance of about 2 miles, in the wood of Vaucresson. Suspended below the balloon in a cage had been placed a sheep, a cock, and a duck, which were thus the first aerial travelers. They were quite uninjured, except the cock, which had its right wing hurt in consequence of a kick it had received from the sheep. But this took place before the ascent. The balloon, which was painted with ornaments in oil colors, had a very showy appearance.